To be 2-0 is obviously tremendous. We're very excited about it. You go back to Friday's game with Arkansas State, and you talk about the new guys, this guy, that guy. I think when it comes down to it, especially early in the year, you really rely on that experience, and very appreciative of the Dexter Warners, A.J. Jacobson, Paul Miller, Carlin Dupree's. Those four guys in particular, upperclassmen. Obviously, Kai Cabela's played significantly last year too, and he's definitely in that equation. But those four guys are very appreciative of what they're bringing to this team. And again, we've talked about it. This is a young group. 5 of our 15 kids are underclassmen. And that leadership, that maturity really starts with those 5 guys and bringing some of these young guys along. And also along those lines, Friday night was special. You have over 5,000 in the new Shield Center, and we really want to keep that going. Our fans, in particular our students, are a tremendous ally for us. And to have, I believe it was, $750 for students on Veterans Day when the campus is closed down. Really appreciative, really encouraged of what this place can continually become. I go back to the Fargo Dome on third down. Our fans, we want to make it like that in there constantly, all the time. And this is what this building, in particular a mid-major building like this, can be for us as a real home court advantage and really keep things going. We've won a ton of games at home, and we want to keep that going. And that leads me right into where we're going on the road. We were 1-7 last year in league play, 1-7. Not good at all. And that's putting it nicely. And we need to get better. We need to have a better mindset, and that really starts this weekend. With 3 games in 3 days against 3 very good mid-major programs like ourselves. And certainly games that we're very capable of winning, certainly games very capable of losing if we don't play very well. And everything we try to do in the non-conference season is really preparing us for summer league play, regular season, and for tournament play. 3 games in 3 days sets up very similar to the summer league tournament. Hopefully we're in a position we're playing 3 games in 4 days. But certainly you never know. And again, I think this is going to be another great opportunity for us to get on the road, to come together tighter as a family, hopefully get some wins, but really continuing to build this team and this program and this depth. I'll take any questions.
What specifically are the challenges of 3 games in 3 days from both of scouting 3 teams and for just minutes management?
I think you start there, Ross, with minute management. We played, in particular, you go back to that Friday game with Arkansas State, we played some guys a high level of minutes. And that's great because those guys are certainly going to need to on specific nights, but it's also nice when you understand you're realistic as a coach where you're going to have a turned ankle for a weekend. You're going to have some other guys step up, and that's where it's important, I think, for Spencer Elias and Dylan Miller, Dangu, Tyson Ward, Jared Samuelson, for those guys hopefully over the course of those 3 days to get not only minutes but important minutes and have some success, build some confidence. A guy like Tyson Ward has played extremely well. He just hasn't shot it very well. For him to see the ball go through a little bit, that sticks out into my mind too. But the other thing that's been good for us, and I think what's helped this program come March, is so much of what we do is about us, about North Dakota State. And so there isn't when we go into a Navy, we'll be able to prep for a couple days for a Navy team where we turn around in less than 24 hours, you're playing Greensboro. And then 24 hours later, you're playing High Point, where you don't have a whole bunch of time to make a whole bunch of adjustments and expect your guys to be able to execute those adjustments. So, again, I think that all falls into lines with just doing us over and over and over again.
We're not in practice seeing guys who are injured playing well, but from our angle, A.J. Jacobson, we're not sure if he's going to play. Then all of a sudden, 2 games, he's all over the stat sheet. What does that say? How is he able to do that?
Again, I go back to it. AJ's, and I believe I'm stating this right, is the Class A leading scorer in the state of North Dakota. And don't quote me 100% on that. So we obviously know the kid can score at a high level, but what you can't what you can't put a quantifiable mark on, so to speak, is how tough somebody is, what kind of competitor he is, and if AJ was sitting here, we could laugh and joke about it. He wasn't very good at all, and that's put in nicely at Thursday's practice. He wasn't making shots, and that was affecting how he was playing, and I just attributed it to rust. But the kid got out there and just started flying around and competing, making plays that didn't really pertain to how he was playing offensively, and I thought that relaxed him offensively, and he played well, 4 for 5. He took good shots. He didn't rush anything, didn't force anything. But I think the overall thing that goes into those things is twofold. Number one, he had fresh legs. And fresh legs can never be underestimated, especially in this game. And 2, his body, I go back to, was in the weight room with Coach Kleiman, and he goes, and AJ walked by, he goes, oh, wow, that kid looks different. And you can see he physically looks different. He's moving different. He's getting up and challenging shots at the rim, something that AJ just hasn't been doing. And so that's very encouraging to see, obviously.
Playing with a smaller lineup like that, is this the best defense you've seen AJ play, and how important is his ability to defend post players?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, we've hung our hat, and that's our staple of being great defensively, and that's what we need to continue to be. But what AJ's not, and there's a lot of things, he's not a superior athlete in the Summit League. He doesn't have great size, or he doesn't have an unbelievable strength to him. But he makes up for that in basketball intelligence and understanding who he's guarding, personnel base, but also that toughness, not afraid to stick his nose in there and challenge it. So obviously very encouraged by him, but in so many guys and how they're competing on both ends.
Are you viewing Dylan and Spencer as still in a competition for one big man rotation spot, or do you feel fine playing them both?
I feel fine playing them both. I really do. But in a sense, it's always let's have that competition in practice. And let's go out, and they're going to both, hopefully continue to keep getting runs in the first half, and then we'll base the second half on who's playing well, what the other team's doing, and how they can be successful, ultimately how we can be successful.
Do you feel like the starting five with Paul and Kai and Carlin is something that's set in stone, or was it something that you were doing because you're playing smaller teams the first two games?
No, again, so much, Ross, of what we do is about us. We're gonna base our things on what we do. If we have to make adjustments, we're gonna go into, and I don't mind who hears this, we're gonna go into every single game with 90% of the focus about us. And that's just how it is, and so our guys are playing basketball. We don't want to complicate things. Certainly, we as assistants and as a head coach, you have adjustments, but they're really in your back pocket. If you have to do some things like a post double, if there's a time and situation for some zone, if there's a situation where we need to go big or go small, we're not bullheaded enough that we won't do those things. But we want to stick to doing us over and over and over again.
This school has a history of excellent point guard play. You've seen Kai Cabela for a year plus now. Is he trending in that direction?
Kai's got a bright future, and I say that only because Kai wants to have a bright future. Kai works at having a bright future. He just, we challenged him the other day, lead the league in assists, lead our team in assists, and make open jump shots. Kai wants to be so good. Sometimes he's his own worst enemy, and he puts undue pressure on himself. And what was encouraging, and I know, Wes tweeted out he was with him. He just, on a day we were pretty light, he's in the gym for an hour. That's the Kai I know. I mean, that's where Kai came in here with a big chip on his shoulder on some schools that could have recruited him, didn't recruit him, whatever. And you end up at a place where you fit. And he really fits here. He understands what it's about, to be here. And I'm excited. I think he understands me more and more. He's more apt to come over to have a conversation with me during the game, and he's continuing to be more and more comfortable. You forget it. Gets 2 games into his sophomore season, and he had a great freshman year, but a very, very good end of it. We need to have some perspective and let it. He's still a baby in a lot of senses.
The 3 games this weekend going to be a pretty good simulation for Summit League players. These teams kind of on that level.
I've just been primarily focused on Navy, and there's certainly I got a ton of respect for their staff and what they've done. And obviously, you're playing a service academy school like that. They're going to be tough, very well-disciplined teams. And, I know Greensboro's got some good athletes from my understanding, and High Point's had a tremendous amount of success. It's going to be on their home court. But yeah, I mean, as much as it's about them, again, 3 games in 3 days, you just can't simulate those things preparing you going forward.